everybody. It's great to have you all here. The second in our series of Meet the Council of Trustees webinars. I'm sorry about the slight technical hitch. I'm not Sharon Kindley-Sides. You will be hearing from Sharon, but I'm not her. I'm Jenny Martin. I'm a trustee and I'm the honorary secretary. And I'll be your host today, like I was at the last one, but you'll be hearing from many more interesting people than me. We will let it run for just a few minutes to make sure that everybody who wants to attend can. But meanwhile, I'll just share a little bit of practical information for you. We have a really good long list of pre-submitted questions, so thank you very much for those. I will be putting them to our panelists, and hopefully you'll get the answers that you're hoping for. But the Q&A is also open, so you're very welcome to add your questions and your comments for the panel in the Q&A, and I will do my best to deal with them as well. And finally, the chat is open, but the chat is only for you to introduce yourselves to each other, maybe share web links to interesting things or facts or requests for assistance or information, email addresses if you want people to keep in touch with you. So the chat is literally for chat. I will not be looking in there for questions because the pre-submitted questions and the ones in the Q&A will be just about all that I'll be able to keep on top of. So apparently we have Michael languishing in the wrong part of the meeting. Can we promote him? Not sure that's working. Oh, yes, it is. He's appeared. Great. Okay, I think that's all the trustees we're probably expecting to have here. So we'll start the webinar proper and people can trickle in as they have time. I guess quite a few people will have finished a meeting just on the hour, so they might need a little break before they join us. So again, for those of you who joined, since I said it before, welcome. I'm Jenny Martin. It's really nice to be here with you again. I really enjoyed the previous of these webinars, and I'm sure today's going to be good as well. I have asked all the other panelists to, as well as introduce themselves to you, to give one personal fact about themselves, just to personalize things a little. Some of us have met in person or will meet in person in the future, but not all of us. So it's nice to feel that you're amongst colleagues and friends. It's not just a center branches relationship. So today, my personal fact is actually, it's not a fact, it's a thing. It's my beautiful CILT scarf, which was given to me by Cote d'Ivoire at the Africa Forum last April. So anyone from Cote d'Ivoire who is here, you can see, I really appreciate your lovely gift and I do use it. And I'm now going to hand over to the international president, who is Chief Titi Owusu-Norty, and ask him to do the same. Introduce yourself to us, please, Chief, and share one personal fact about yourself. Please, Chief.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Hi, my name is Chief Titi Owusu-Norty. As you all know, I'm the international president. I'm a proud African and specifically Ghanaian. And my personal fact is that I love fashion. I love to do things that are wow. I love to think outside the box, things that has not been done before. I love to do that. I love to be pushed to the highest height and I'll fall safely and not crash. That is me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Chief. And moving on to you, Michael, tell us a little bit about your role at CILT International and one interesting fact about yourself that isn't to do with CILT.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody. I'm the National Vice President for CILT International, and I'm also chairing the Education Committee as a professor at Catholic University, as you can expect. The personal thing about me is that I'm Greek, who have a strong reputation in logistics, maritime, and shipping for so many years, so many centuries. So I don't think it's a surprise to say that I'm into logistics, not maritime, but I can help a bit about logistics. That's all for me. And I made you smile.
That's great, Michael. And I'm pleased to say we have had a few questions pre-submitted to do with the maritime, so we might come back to you on that one. We'll see how we go. Next up is Paul McDonald. Please introduce yourself, Paul, and one personal fact.
Hi, everybody. Paul McDonald, your honorary treasurer and a trustee. I think my one personal fact to share is that as well as the work I do at CILT and other charity stuff that I do, my eldest daughter announced that she's getting married this November. So the family is those who have children who have got married. We are navigating our way through the modern approach to marriage and ceremonies and parties and all the things that come with it, and all the training in the years I had of socializing and aligning with multiple stakeholders and multiple things. We have a mixture of a Scottish and a Caroline wedding. So we're mixing Kerala and Scotland. So we're looking forward to it. And the Cayley, I think, is where everyone got up. But that's the one fact that I've got to share with everyone. So whenever if I look hassled when you see me, you'll understand why in the background. Thank you.
Right. But thanks a lot, Paul. I've managed to stay married for 43 years this year. So if the young couple needs any advice, here I am.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up, Sharon, the real Sharon. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Sharon Kimberley-Sides. I'm the Secretary General, and probably get used to me sending you emails asking you things, and see me on social media. My fact about myself is I was born in the place in the UK where the Roman wall ended. It's a place called Wallsend in the northeast of England, and 2,000 years ago, it was technically in Scotland, and I spent my entire school career trying to tell everyone I was Scottish, despite the fact the border's now about 70 miles further north. So that's my fact. I was born in Wallsend, where the wall did.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. It's nice when place names actually do exactly what they say they do. That makes learning geography much easier. Next, I'll move on to Ruth, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ruth Francis, the Education Strategy Lead. So I'm part of the Permanent Secretariat and I look after education around the world, looking at our curriculum and working very closely with Professor Michael Balakis. I also look at quality assurance and developing new opportunities for us. Personal fact, I was previously the musical director of a very large gospel choir, which is maybe not what you would expect from me. So yes, you can regularly catch me singing around my house if you are unlucky enough to live on my street.
Thank you, Ruth. Isn't there supposed to be a CILT International song, or have I dreamt that?
There is a Willat song.
But
perhaps we can, between myself and hopefully Kaya will back up with her own musical talent as well. Perhaps we create something.
So I'm sure there's people in the audience who know this song. So maybe if we have time at the end, we'll sing it. We'll see how we get on. Thank you, Ruth. And last but not least, Kaya.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kaya. I'm International Marketing and Communications Manager for CILT International. So I manage all the marketing, social media, website, and any communications that you receive. A little spoiler from Ruth on my personal facts. I'm a classically trained pianist and flautist, so I enjoy playing music in my spare time. So yeah, we might form a little CILT band between us.
Yes, if we then join up with the Chiefs band, well, you know, chart toppers, here we come.
Yeah, that's
play,
it.
can we? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. I hope everybody enjoyed those introductions. And next up, we have a couple of hot topics, which are really not hot at the moment for CILT International. So before we move on to the open questions and discussions, I'll give the relevant people a chance to cover these things. And first up is Chief, who's going to be talking to us about a very new thing, which is the Volunteer of the Month scheme, Chief, which actually we've just renamed as well. So maybe you can start by telling us what this scheme is called now and then tell us a bit about it. Chief, the floor is yours.
Jenny, thank you very much. And to my utmost surprise, a few hours ago, you dropped a bomb that my initiative, which I tagged it Volunteer of the Month, a few hours ago, just said that it's been renamed after me because my initiative. So hence it's going to be Chief Titi Owusu Norte's Volunteer Awards. Thank you very much, team, for believing in me and naming this award to the extent that I feel so passionate and so personalized when it comes to this award. I've served CILT as a volunteer almost about 3 decades now. Somewhere down the line, I nearly got adopted and killed for being a volunteer, for dedicating my life for CILT. I've been through it all. And it's not been, you might see me smiling, energized, going about and around and all that. But it's taken me a tough road, a rough road, and still going through it. And something struck me somewhere when we had a court meeting in London with my secretariat team, with good people that we are seeing here, as well as the court members. And I realized most of us are volunteers. We're not being paid for whatever we do. We dedicate our life and everything, sacrifice our family, our resources, our time, our jobs, and no one recognizes us. I don't need recognition, but I think there are a lot of good people out there like you that need to be recognized, that need to be appreciated, that need to be rewarded. It's not just about money, but it's about somebody out there getting to know that these are the people that turns the wheel in motion. So I just conceived that idea. I mean, just like I told you guys earlier on, I do the unthinkable. I always think on my feet. I do things that have not been done before. Fortunately, I'm an initiator and innovator. So I came up with this scheme so that people out there that are spending their time, and I know how it takes, what it feels for someone to dedicate his life and not getting a reward, which for me, I think we should change the narrative. Let's appreciate, recognize these people. And that is my motivation for coming up with this scheme, where every month we are going to reward a volunteer who has performed exceptionally well. And these people will be acknowledged. And I'm sure my secretariat, headed by Sharon, in the next few days will come up with the criteria and what to be given to the person. So team, this is where we are. Let's reward loyalty. Let's reward our volunteers. Let's get them to work harder. Let's encourage them to work exceptionally well, because they are those that get the wheels of CILT turning. So Jenny, in brief, that is the purpose of initiating this award. That is the first one. In the next few weeks also, we are putting a scheme together where we will be rewarding and recognizing. And that one, please don't put my name on it. That one will be the most performed branch among the global community. We need to compete in a very healthy environment amongst ourselves. So we'll be rewarding the most performed branch or territory. And the other one, which I'm working together with my secretariat, is to reward the most performed training provider of the year. So the branch will be a yearly thing, the branch yearly, the accredited training provider will be yearly. However, the volunteer will be monthly. So these are things to look out for, because we believe in you and we know with you as a community, we'll go stronger and much stronger because we are stronger together. Thank you very much, Jenny, for the time.
Thank you so much, Chief, for introducing these really valuable schemes, which form part of your legacy from your presidency. And audience, please look out when we open nominations for these things. Please make sure that you get in there and get nominating. All very worthwhile awards. And I'm sure you all know people who are very well qualified to receive them. So please, once these things are open, please participate. We really look forward to your input. So thank you for that. The other thing, which is very much a hot topic, which we did talk about quite extensively at the last webinar, and work has been going on behind the scenes ever since, is the education refresh initiatives. which are being masterminded by Michael Boulakis and Ruth Francis, who are here on our panel. So I'm going to hand over to Michael and Ruth and just ask you to share with the audience, how's it going? What are the news? What's the most important things you'd like them to know? Please, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Thanks. I'll make a start, and Ruth, feel free to add anything else you may want, because we're working as a team, as always. More importantly, I think education is a critical aspect of what we do, because all of us try to be in a journey, in education journey, of to improve ourselves continuously, to learn more, to become more equipped with the right skills for our jobs, and not only. And CILT International is by far the best provider in the world to do that. And I do believe that. So I was given the task by my esteemed colleagues to lead the education committee, which we brought it back again. It's running, so we have an education committee for a few months now, and we spend a lot of time to recruit the right members in the team, representing various parts of the world, different regions, different continents, diversity in terms of expertise and membership. And we are very, very pleased with the outcome. We have a strong committee right now. And that committee will be looking to every aspect of education, from quality frameworks to standards to learning and teaching and quality and all the issues you'd expect from a committee. Of course, Ruth may say it's not only that, Michael, it's also accreditations. It's also standards at local level. It's also many other things. But we have a big job to do. One big task of the committee, which we made a start and try to prioritize, is to update the education material. So Ruth and myself have spent a lot of time to speak to different training providers, different options we may have to bring the material in. And if any of you is interested and willing to have any of that material to help us, please get in touch with Ruth and myself. So I'm talking different, let's say, members of the CILT family that we try to update the material, we identify some areas which we try to make a start and improve. And for me, it's not only for this year, for the next few months, it will be a task for the next few years. We have to improve and update our material on a continuous basis, because as we all know, logistics is a very, very fast-moving discipline with things evolving continuously. So on top of that, we have done a few other things. Ruth is out continuously, trying to connect with different members of the community, and myself, I was in Saudi Arabia giving a keynote about major trends in digital and AI. We wrote an article, Ruth and myself, in CILT Education magazine and generic magazine covering educational aspect. So we try to give you an update on that. There are a lot of things going on, and I'll be happy to come again in the next few months in future webinars to give you further update. So watch the space, more things are going to follow. Ruth, anything else you want to cover which I didn't cover?
Thank you, Michael. Firstly, just a huge thanks to Michael. As Chief said, all of our trustees are volunteers. So not only is Michael's time valuable, it's invaluable because of the level of expertise he brings to the role. So I'm certainly very lucky to have his support. To add to what Michael said, in terms of the way that we've conducted the research to start with, we have tried to engage all different stakeholders. So hopefully many of you will have either attended country engagement calls with myself and John Harris, who we obviously brought back on because of the level of knowledge and experience that he has, but also still his vested interest, I think, in once you're part of CILT, he wanted to make sure that it was, he could use what he knew to guide us towards the future. So he's very kindly been an educational consultant for this first stage of the project, but we have engaged with all the different stakeholders. So country engagement, be you branches or territories. We've had a range of different people attend in terms of presidents, education committee members, industry stakeholders as well. As Michael said, we've also engaged with training providers too. So over the coming months, we will continue to engage. And just to clarify, the reason we've done that, we wanted to triangulate as much data as possible. It is a challenge to be all things to all people. Some of our markets are more developed. Some of their logistics industries, more specifically, are more developed. Different modalities are more popular around the world. Some areas are specialists in passenger transport. Others, like Mike was saying, look more to maritime and to shipping. So trying to ensure that we are serving as many of those priorities as possible is a challenge, but that's why it's taken us a little bit longer to do that analysis than I think you might initially think when you look at just updating education. So rest assured that the work is ongoing. It's being done carefully. And the other thing to just to fill you in on is that we also are not just looking into the specifics, we are looking to the more broad questions, and have indeed actually asked all of our key stakeholders about what they see the purpose of our education to be. Are we merely imparting knowledge? Is this so that somebody has a piece of paper at the end? Is it for career progression? Is our education for employability and workplace readiness? And because of those big questions, again, as Michael said, I don't think we'll be able to address everything to start with. We want to get some quick wins. We know the market is ready, but those big questions, we will continue to ask those amongst ourselves and the Education Standards Committee, but also amongst you as our members and our key stakeholders, because the philosophy of education itself is a whole other ball game, and we want to make sure that we're fulfilling the correct vision in the correct way. So that's it from me, but it's a very exciting time to be part of the team. And again, thank you to Michael and to John, who I know is not here, but a big shout out to John for lending his expertise and doing this alongside his normal work as well.
Well, thank you, Ruth. Before passing on back to Jenny, I'm grateful to be working together because you know your stuff inside out. So I think we're a formidable team with John as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Ruth and Michael. They're definitely exciting times, and I think obviously a lot of really good work being done there. So thank you. And audience, if you have questions on what you've just heard from Michael and Ruth, then please pop them in the Q&A, and I'll try and get round to them. But I believe that is now time where we start the Q&A part of this. So I have quite a few questions which you submitted beforehand. I'll try and work through them. I'll keep an eye on the Q&A, see what we got in there. And yeah, we'll just keep going. And yeah, if anything pops into your head, just put it in the Q&A and we'll try and deal with it. So I'll start off. We had a number of questions about the benefits of CILT and being part of it. I've got Rita Conti from North America, who is a member and a business owner, and wants to know how membership can actually benefit her company in bringing her services to market. I've got Lunga Mashini of South Africa, and by the way, I should have at the start said apologies for all the mangling of people's names. I am sorry. My maiden name was Skoog, S-K-O-O-G, so I know all about being mispronounced, and I am sorry. So Lunga Mashinini of South Africa, who wants to know about CILT qualifications and how they might help. Do they actively help gain employment? What's our opinion on that? Panganani Masanda of Malawi, who is interested in whether CILT does anything or can do anything to help people who are in African countries where there aren't a lot of employment opportunities to gain work in other countries. And finally, I've Got Fru Collins Ni of Cameroon, who, again, similar question. Do CILT have any measures or initiatives to help the large number of unemployed logistics professionals in parts of Africa? So yeah, what practical use are we? And I think I'll kick off by saying what I always say: networking and your contact net, growing your contact network, expanding it outside your own country. and outside your own sector even, and nurturing it is to me one of the most important things that professionals do. And I've certainly lived my working life, which is now finished. I lived it along those principles. My strapline is that I don't actually know a lot, but I know a lot of people who know a heck of a lot. And that's how I've got to where I am and survived this far, by surrounding myself with knowledgeable people who are kind enough to help me out and give advice. So my answer to these questions would be, the biggest help we give, whether you're looking for employment or you're looking to grow your business, make your business more successful, is the access we give to networking opportunities, and taking part in the events and the activities that we offer around the world, all the branches, all the territories, as well as the centre, it's worth so much. It's your time plus the money spent in the membership, sort of quadrupled, might come to the value. I don't know, I'm no mathematician. The rest of the panel, well, what are your comments on this?
I mean, if I can jump in, Jenny, I mean, I would also say the value of the network is really amazing. And whatever stage of your career you're at, you know, whether you're looking for your first job or, you know, you're a more mature professional looking to start a consultancy or your own business, just the network that's available, the information we share, just so you can keep up to date with what's going on. And to get a little plug in here myself, we're about to launch the CILT International magazine and a journal twice a year. And we're hoping to make this really beneficial so people can share case studies and practical examples of what they've done. And we, you know, we're a global community. We're aware not everyone can travel to see everybody else. But, you know, a lot of our branches put up their events online, webinars, you know, feel free to join one if you see one that's of interest to you. But also, if you have a particular question, put it on social media and tag ourselves, tag one of your local branches, and we'll certainly endeavour to find an answer, or to put you in touch with people that can help. And going back to what Ruth and Michael were saying, you know, the education offering, the continual professional developments, we're all always learning. So please make full advantage of your membership. We're here to help. And if you think there's a particular topic we should be covering, please let us know. Yeah, especially as multimodality, decarbonisation, entrepreneurship, all of these areas are coming really very, very important to the industry. So if you want to hear more, or if you've even got an article you want us to publish, please let us know.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other panelists want to come in on this? Direct benefits of membership in terms of employment and business opportunities.
I mean, I can come in that, Jenny, if you allow me. I mean, CILT International is exactly what it says on the tin. Qualifications, the national level, globally recognized, everybody knows them. We're by far the best logistics institute in the world. We're well known in most parts of the world. So you have any qualification from us, you most likely be respected. People know your expertise and background, will understand your knowledge. And more importantly, as Sharon alluded earlier on, the networking aspect for me is critical. I have the privilege to be a member of CILT UK to start with for more than 25 years. The network, the opportunities, the events, the industry events, and so many events, but even in your own countries. Please go out and connect, network. It will be of immense value. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So moving on to another topic, which not surprisingly came up a lot, were questions around finding out more about CILT International headquarters, so us, in other words, the Secretariat and the Council of Trustees. So I'll pull out a few of these now, and we can tackle them. The first one I'll use is from Anne Olaide Vincent from Nigeria. And she wants to know, what data and metrics does the COT use to measure our impact? So that's quite an interesting one. Globally, how do we know whether we're any use or not? I suppose I'll start with you on that one, Sharon, and then other people can chip in.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And one of the things we do, and if there's any branch leads here, you will be familiar with our annual return. So we gather information on all of our branches and our territories every year to see how we're doing in terms of membership, to see what the key topics are. So we're looking outwards to count how many people we have, but we're also very aware that we have learners, we have people who are working in our sector. So the actual number we count is probably a fraction of all the people who are involved in CILT. We also monitor our social media, and we're looking to see what the trends are there. Are we growing? What platforms? We're also monitoring our demographics. We are historically a very male industry, and it's particularly good to see on some of the social media platforms that new members are coming through again, and to see where are they coming from, what's the sector, what level are they at, and also what gender are they. So we're monitoring our social media very, very regularly, and as I say, we're monitoring membership annually, and as some of you may have taken part in the membership survey that was carried out about 1.5 years ago. So we will be also seeking for feedback, and you can always just get in touch with us and leave comments, but we are constantly monitoring and listening for your feedback and you to tell us what it is we're doing, and if it's right or if you'd like us to make changes.
Thanks very much, Sharon. Other panelists, anything you want to say about CILT International in figures, which I suppose is roughly what we're talking about here?
Shall I
Please, Paul, go on.
Couple of things. Honorary Treasurer, formerly DHL Supply Chain Global, etc., and Procter & Gamble and things. So I think that there are two sets of impacts. One is numbers, and then the other is the qualitative side, and how what people think and how they connect to what they see as a perceived value in an impact. So, for example, when the returns come in, one of the things that we'll take a look at is what is the trend in a particular area? Are memberships going down? Are they going up? What's the mix of memberships between students and members and chartered members and fellows, etc., to try and understand some of the trends and what may be giving rise to some of those trends. So one of the things that has come up from before was an app type stuff. Was one of the things in terms of global connectivity. That was one of the things that was mentioned, which one could then take forward into a concept, and that itself would then allow people in all directions, whether you are, if we call it a territory or a branch or a market that's growing, whether it's only newly established or it's 5 years through the curve. One of the things we used to say in DHL is in understanding that one size does not fit all, the impact would be looking at where in the world should we be focusing resources or helping geographies to grow. For example, that could be in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Africa, Francophone. You've heard Chief talk about that in previous sessions and at AGMs and conventions. So that's one of the other ways we try to understand the impacts that we can help steer without getting in between a local country or local territory and a local branch and their members. We're here to help and steer and facilitate and govern. But hopefully that answer gives a couple of the areas where we try and take a broader picture holistically to see where we could perhaps bring some value and some insight from the data we've got.
Great,
Back
thank
to
you,
Jenny.
Paul. Thank you, Paul. Other panelists, anything to add on measuring ourselves? Oh, great. I'll thank you for that, and I'll move on. We had a couple of questions about our strategy. James Sakina from Uganda and Modasam Din from Malaysia. One is asking, what is our strategic plan? And the second question, what is the future direction of CILT? So to start us off on that one, there is a CILT strategic plan. I should have checked before the webinar whether it's posted on our website or not. I rather hope it is, and if it isn't, it should be, so we can certainly deal with that. But slightly more interesting probably, because I know that the current strategic plan is a few years old. Jan Stenberg, our international president-elect, who's not able to be with us today, unfortunately, he is quite far ahead on working on an updated, a new strategy for CILT International, which should be agreed and published this year. And we will, of course, then share that with participants as well. So that's the update from me. Do other panelists have more to tell about CILT International global strategy? Sharon?
Yeah. I think very much sort of from a personal perspective, I'm very keen to build the international community. Some of the questions we've been asked about networking and building international networks. So I think for me, it's we refer to ourselves as the CILT family, but to make ourselves a lot closer and share information. So if somebody is going to go to another country for work, they can go and just feel they can reach out. So last year we saw the very first International Day of the Supply Chain Logistics and Transportation, which was another one of Chief's initiatives. And I think through that, we're both supporting the profession and making it obvious who we are, what we are, and making it a great place to work. So for me, our strategy is all about professionalizing the profession. Why would somebody who's just coming out of school at 18 want to join us? Why would somebody who's looking for a career change want to join us? So we've got our strategy to make the profession attractive, interesting, and engaging, but also to make our community, you know, very much a global community, so we can share around the world and feel like one big family. So for me, this internationalization and professionalizing the profession are my two key thoughts.
Right. Thank you, Sharon. If there isn't any more, then I'll move on. Chief, are you available to take a question, please? It's a specific question just for you.
Please, let's
You're
look at
available. Good, great, thank you. So I have a question here from Andrews Osei Mensah from Ghana. No coincidence, I'm sure. And the question is, what policies are coming in to support the current and subsequent CILT presidents to work as hard as the current president does? So how are we making sure that the next president will work as hard as you are? Because clearly your hard work has been recognized.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. It's more or less a personal question. In whatever we do, you have to be passionate in whatever you do. And I work so hard because that is my passion. So for you to assume a role, you need to understand the ups and downs of the role you accepted. It doesn't just come as a default. No, you have to work towards it. I might have been fortunate to work through the ranks from CILT Ghana all throughout my journey, almost about 3 decades in CILT, to rise to this role. And I think I've learned so much in my course of being a global president currently. What I think we do lack, as I'm sure my brother's asking, is about mentorship. How do you hold the hands of the people that are coming up after us and have a succession policy? Yes, CILT International, or from the trustees' perspective, we do have a succession policy. That is why we do have the president-elect, and that is, a standard procedure that we adopt. But the other thing that we need to identify is, in the event you are not within the catchment area, as in you are not on the Council of Trustees, you are not within the IMC, or within areas where you'll be visible, how do we tap into these people? And for me, that is why, with the approval of the Council of Trustees, we've now put together a complete document for the next generation. These are the untapped potential members that we need to unearth or identify them. That is one we can identify, but it's about you, the member, making yourself available. How many people can volunteer for almost about 3 decades? You know, how many can even volunteer for about 10 decades? So this then dovetail into my reason for having this volunteer awards. So we are going to have from next month a database of all these volunteers. Let's see their strength. Let's see their weaknesses. Let's see, we might end up having a group of these volunteers and pick up the good ones, start nurturing them, start tutelaging them to the extent where there will be a pool of resource volunteers so we can tap into that pool of resource community. And I think that is where we end up building leaders amongst ourselves, because not until you make yourself relevant, it'll be difficult for us at our level to identify who you are, where you are, and whether you are willing to serve as a volunteer. So I think I've said a lot, but the most important thing is that make yourself visible, serve, and at the end of your serving, there'll be reward. And that's why you be identified and you end up being relevant, and we'll call you to come help the global community. I hope I've made sense anyway.
Thank you very much, Chief. Yeah, I mean, I said I wasn't going to take questions from the chat, but there is a relevant comment in the chat from Gar Mua saying, thank you, President. How does the body ensure that those who are right down deep there have their hands held to the top? And I think that's just what you answered. We sit on a really enormous pool of talent and human resource. And how do we make sure that everybody realizes that if they want to, if they acquire the right skills and they do the work and they get the qualifications, there's no reason why they shouldn't one day be international president. So I think we don't need to answer that question. I think you've already dealt with it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny.
The next one is also from Ghana, and it's a very simple one, so I will deal with that very quickly. It's from Salome Obesirbia Katsekpour, and it's simply, please, how does one become a member? Now, Ghana has an extremely vibrant and busy and active branch. So joining CILT, if you're located in Ghana, is not at all hard. I suggest, please, my email is in the chat. So just drop me an email and we'll sort that out. So that's a nice, easy one. But the next one going on from membership is slightly more complicated, but not impossible. We've got Abdi Mohammed Aden, who's based in Somalia, where there is no branch. And Mr. Aden is interested in becoming a CILT member and also in setting up a branch in Somalia. But obviously setting up a branch would take a little bit of time. So and I've got a very similar question pre-submitted online from Kenya, from Charles Kiptu. Again, kindly assist in opening a branch in Kenya so that I can transfer my membership from CIT to CILT, says Charles Kiptu. So yeah, advice for people who are in countries where there is no branch, they'd like to be participating, and they've also got their eye on that it would be great if there was a branch. What should they do, panel?
I think this might be a me one again.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I'll do the slightly easier one first. If you'd like to be a member and you're in a country where there isn't a branch at the moment, please go on our website, which is CILTinternational.org. And there you can see all the branches that are available. And please look for one that is either close to you or you feel has a lot in common with your goals. And as a starting point, you can join any branch. So that'll get you into the family, it'll get you on the email circulations, and it'll get you on the social media. If you're interested in setting up a branch in your country, please get in touch with me. We've got a great resource pack that'll help you through the process. We can talk you through the process. We can explain how it works. We can help you develop your business plan. And we will work with you and support you through the process. We have probably about 4 branches at the moment in various stages of development. And it's probably about an 18-month program just to understand your country, understand your goals, understand your aims, but we're here for you every step of the way. So I would say the very first thing, please just get in touch, and I will happily go through the process with you. Our membership lead, Frankie, will explain how membership works. Ali, who is also not directly on the call, but is in the participants, will very much help you with the documentation and what's required. So please just get in touch if you are thinking of opening a branch. And if you'd like to be a member, as I say, please just find one that speaks to you. And again, we can always help with that if you're not quite sure where you'd like to join.
Thank you, Sharon. And yes, thank you, Ali Glandfield from the Secretariat, for being active in the chat and helping out answering questions. It's much appreciated, Ali. So I did say that Paul MacDonald had one specific question in the pre-submitted ones, and we now come to it. I promised that since he was the only one to do with finance, so I'd make sure I didn't miss it out. It's from Kayode Otitoyu from Nigeria, but I'd say it's relevant not just to Nigeria. The question is with unstable local currency exchanges, so that's local currency versus sterling. Is there anything that the Council of Trustees can do about this? Because obviously it's hard not knowing how much, well, you know how much you're invoiced, but you don't know from one month to the next how much that's actually going to be in your own currency. So, Paul, have you got any plans or any tips or any information to share?
I think it's if I understand the question, if you are trying to get the local currency to generate payment back in sterling, then the currency markets can move against you. So you might find that it becomes 20% more expensive in local currency to do that in. Likewise, sterling itself might fall in the meantime, so you might need less. It really just depends. If I had a straight answer for I could predict what the foreign exchange was going to do, then I would be definitely calling you from my yacht, probably off the coast of Ghana. But so unfortunately I can't. I think there may be some local banking thing where you can fix a rate when you come to pay your bill. So if you know the bill is coming in, the invoice is coming in, and the bank has that facility, you can often fix the rate at the point time when you lock the funds there. If you've got the funds, that's always a practical issue. In my career, I've dealt in the dairy industry internationally, and sometimes we had to wait for central banks to get enough dollars to actually pay some of the stuff. So, but you might find that your local bank can actually fix a rate, which then takes out the unknown part to a local territory or local branches to the sterling amount itself. That's probably the most practical tip I think I would give. But we do understand it, and sometimes it goes both ways. It just kind of depends on the local geography themselves. If you're in a local geography and you've got high rates of inflation, then that's a problem. Then the really practical thing to do is to fix it at the bank as soon as you know that it's coming in. So what we can do is I'll take a takeaway, which I'll pass on to Roxana Thomas, our Director of Finance, to see if there's anything that can be understood about increasing the level of notice of invoices that are coming. Because if we can give a little bit more planning time in, that may help at in the local country in terms of being able to fix that rate and therefore be certain on what it's going to cost. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, it's not good news. I mean, I know someone who's forced an entire bus fleet order, that buses that should have been running in southern Nigeria by now, but those buses were being purchased with Nigerian money from China, and they are currently unaffordable. So it is an issue. But thank you very much for explaining it, and thank you for offering to look into something we could possibly do to mitigate as well.
Sure.
So next, and this is the last sort of practical question regarding the Secretariat and the Centre. It's from Saad Kambusu Seidu, who's based in the UK, and they're asking, does CILT International issue ID cards and membership certificates to its qualified member? If not, they feel that we ought to introduce it. Now, as a fellow branch member of UK to Mr. and Miss Seydu, I know that they've just stopped issuing the ID cards. We had an email saying we weren't going to have any more of them, and I haven't seen a membership certificate either. What does International do? Sorry, Sharon, I guess I'm back to you again.
Yeah. So we don't issue membership cards. It is something we've talked about. And as Ruth was saying, we've also talked about an app that might be a digital ID card. But for people who become members through of branches who are assessed by CILT International Secretariat, yes, we do issue membership certificates. The process is you apply through your branch, they upload your details onto our system, and then once a month we have a membership assessment panel which assesses the applications, and then if people are successful, membership certificates issued. The larger branches, which we refer to as territories, do this process themselves and do issue certificates. And I know you've got one, Jenny, because I gave it to you.
Yeah, but I'd like a new one each year. Thank you very much. I pay once a year, so why shouldn't I have a new one?
Yeah. So yes, it's something to note, but everybody does get a membership certificate. I think the question is how often are they renewed, and that's probably a note for us to take away. But I think it's fair to say we are looking at different ways of doing this. People like digital, they like things they can put on their social media. So it's a project we're looking at longer term to see how we can enable people to be proud of their membership and demonstrate it to other people.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you for the question. So I promised Michael that I'd probably come back to maritime, and I think that the time is now. So I have a group of questions which are around CILT being active in the wider sense, so not completely focused on transportation, supply chain, and logistics, or rather focusing on those things, but taking a wider view. So I've got questions from Yuma Mohammed from Nigeria, Victor Oguru from South Africa, from Namibia, beg your pardon, Victor. Saolin O from the UK, and Anakara Daniel from Cameroon. And in no particular order, what they'd like to hear more about is, can we do more on one specific question, actually, inland waterways? Can we do more on inland waterways, rivers and canals? Could we also do more around maritime and commercial ship transports? Could we consider multimodal transport, so really wide? And finally, what's the role of planning in logistics? So my take on that last question is what we historically in the UK we've called town planning. How does that fit in with logistics? How do we fit in with the people who do that? So I suppose I'll start with Michael, as I promised, being both an educational specialist and coming from a country with a very rich maritime heritage and canals. I saw the Corinth Canal for the first time last year. I was very impressed by it. I know it's not modern, but it's certainly impressive. So should we offer more content around waterborne transport, Michael?
Logistics and supply chain is a very big church. Let's be clear about that. There are so many opportunities to develop material, develop new avenues, new opportunities. And I did say about maritime earlier on, but shipping and maritime is not my core expertise. I do understand that I have been teaching that a lot, a bit of research, but there are specialists in maritime, as you can expect. But we cannot forget that maritime is bringing the products we have in most, let's say, parts of the world. Is possible for the vast majority of trade. It's extremely powerful and important. So I think, and this is the role of the committee as well, when we meet all together, discuss about trends, about the curriculum, about the things to include. And I'll pass on for you, Ruth, to get your thoughts as well. I think it's very important to consider all these opportunities in front of us. I said earlier, logistics supply chain has so many things to cover, and we cannot cover everything, But equally, what we have to take into consideration is that we have to be guided by people at local environment, the national environment, who know much better than us what is more relevant to that environment. So as an institute, we are very open and flexible to hear, to be involved with this kind of discussions, to understand who is needed more in the local level, national level, and be able to support them as needed. Personally, I think it's a big opportunity, but I think it's a discussion needed between the educational committee, educational leads, and the local team to make the best that's required, whether it's maritime or canals, in ways this or the other. I think that should be the best way forward, because we do need to support the local environments. We need to help you as much as I can. We need to provide the right logistic skills as needed. Maritime may make sense, for example, in many nations who are dealing with maritime, but some others may make no sense. And that's what I'm trying to say here. Ruth.
Thanks, Michael. So just in support of what Michael was saying, yeah, we can't necessarily do all the things for absolutely everybody. I fully support a canal. My home city is Birmingham, famously more canals than Venice. Maybe not as pretty. But what I would say is, to echo Michael's point, is our branches, that's why our branches are so absolutely fantastic. It's not just about the membership that they offer you, the networking, but they are brilliant at building around the core curriculum that we have. So the way I think of what we offer is we offer the sort of the skeleton, and then the local branches kind of flesh that out with the CPD, the ongoing opportunities for learning, specialist webinars, specialist technical training that maybe we don't have as part of that core skeleton. And certainly some of our branches have been fantastic at developing brand new modules that then can be embedded into our core offering to enhance and to contextualize what the students are studying. So if that is something that you feel really passionately about, certainly I would say approach your local branch and see if they are already offering maybe some technical specialist CPD or short courses in that area. And if they're not, perhaps flagging it to them as an area of opportunity. And then we speak regularly with our education committees around the world, and they can then feed that back if they believe there is a need to make it more standardized and perhaps assessed as part of one of our broader qualifications. So there are avenues there, or canals, should I say, that we could take. Sorry, it was low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, but you completely confused me now, because in my native language, those two words are the same. Channel and canal are the same. So you completely threw me there, because I was trying to work out what sort of joke you were making. But of course, in English, it's a very funny joke. Ha ha ha. So what I would add to that myself is we made a plea last year, particularly Kaya was active in that, and I know I was as well, for branches to get much more proactive about advertising your events to the bigger community. We have the website which Kaya runs. It's got an excellent events page, and you're all extremely welcome to post all your events on there, as long as you're happy to include people from other branches, which if it's a webinar, I really don't see why you wouldn't be. Language doesn't matter. There's always someone out there who understands whatever your language is. You'll always get takers if you offer. And I've noticed, particularly with maritime, some of our branches in the Far East have been holding webinars, and they've been very active in promoting them. WhatsApp channel and website, so that's great. So if you're in a branch which doesn't do so much in maritime, at least you can join in with someone else. And I also believe that our North American colleagues are pushing for rail. They're thinking of setting up a rail forum, I believe. Yeah, I'm getting some nods. So in answer to the questions, not only do we have an aspiration for the whole institute to be more multimodal, I think it's actually happening as well. But of course, all contributions are welcome from absolutely everybody. That's me going on a bit. Do other panelists want to join in on that again?
I was just going to mention CILT Malawi have just produced a really interesting paper on using Lake Malawi for freight. And I believe we may be going to be covering that in the magazine, but it's a really good idea. I mean, I was blown away by the concept. But if you're looking to do a project, again, just feel free to reach out to other countries that may have, for example, a lake network or a canal network, and there may well be an expert there that can help you. And I think, again, it also just shows there are plenty of ways of tackling problems that may not be obvious at first sight. But please do keep an eye out for this project on Lake Malawi, because I think it's astounding.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. I hope the audience found all that input interesting and useful. I certainly did. I'm now going to move on to a question about mentoring, which strangely, mentoring did not come up in the pre-submitted questions, but it's come up in the Q&A today, and I think it is a really important topic close to my heart. So we got a question from Paxia Novarin saying, "Hi, I'm a student." So welcome. It's great to have students on the call. And I would like to ask about the mentoring opportunities in CILT. Thank you. So I'm sure the mentoring we do is mainly out there in the branches, because that would be appropriate. But panel, have you got comments to make about mentoring?
Yes, in respect of mentoring, a few years ago, I think about 5 years ago, I instituted Chief Tito's not the Next Generation Excellence Awards, and one of the things I promised the awardee I was going to give is mentoring, both local and international. So in Africa, there's such a scheme, because as I said much earlier on, we need to mentor the next generation. That's why I was so keen and dear to my heart to make sure the next generation policy guidelines were approved a few months ago. So yes, we love mentoring. I do love mentoring, and I've demonstrated that. So I'm sure it's about getting the mentees to make themselves available and get themselves visible to be identified. And one thing I need to caution the mentees is that there are some mentees, immediately you sign them on to mentor them, then they end up bringing their personal problems to you. So we need to guard against those things where it should be strictly mentoring, not asking for money and other perks. That doesn't encourage the mentors to get interested in the mentees. So I think we need to take it offline, where we need to have a policy where if you want to mentor someone, the mentee signs, the mentor signs a set of ground rules so that we fall within that ground rules, else it becomes an open-ended and we can measure whether you are actually achieving what the mentor is giving to the mentee, and it has to be measured. And we need someone equally to be superintending the mentor and the mentee. So yes, we are interested in that, and I think the court has equally shown interest in having this mentorship program running. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chief. Yeah, it's of course absolutely true that any formal mentorship programs under the CILT banner would need to be organized at branch level. When you look at us in the centre, if you add up the Secretariat staff and the Council of Trustees, we're fewer than 20 people, and there are tens of thousands of members out there. So no, the membership can't be done by the centre. There aren't enough hours in the day. But certainly, as Chief says, there is advice and help that we can supply to branches who don't run mentorship schemes but would like to set them up. And what I would add personally to people on the call who might be thinking that, oh, you know, I'd like to have a mentor, I'd like to be mentored, ask. When you find someone, a senior professional that you think would be a really good mentor for you, just go up to them and ask. It's happened to me twice. I've said yes both times, and the outcomes of both those relationships have been really good. And my follow-on from that would be, if you are a person you're approached with someone saying, no, I really like your work, I feel I could learn a lot from you, you could open some doors for me, would you be my mentor? Please try to say yes. It's when you get to the latter stages of your career, you really should be thinking about giving back, and you all are. That's why you're part of CILT International in the first place. But when someone asks you to be their mentor, if you at all can, do try to say yes. Other panelists, your thoughts on mentorship?
If I may, Jenny. So we actually have, I know through Willat, now I'm not sure as to the whether the person who asked the question maybe of the female gender. I never want to misgender anybody these days. But if they were to be a member of Women in Logistics and Transport, there is a very well-established mentoring scheme through WILAT. So a big shout out to the wonderful work that WILAT does. But also just another nod to something that I know John Harris, my predecessor, was very passionate about. There is actually a mentoring toolkit which contractualizes the entire working relationship and has a variety of different resources. I know he did share those several years ago, but should any branches wish to sort of reach back out and just check that you've got all of the resources that he diligently put together, I'd be happy to send those over as well if you're thinking of starting or kick-starting again a mentoring scheme. So we do have some resources there for people to use.
Excellent. Thank you, Ruth. Anything else on mentoring? No, great. Well, I hope that answered the question and sparked some activities and some plans in some of the audience. It is a very valuable thing, whether it's done formally or informally, a very, very valuable thing. So I'm going to stick with the education and qualification questions for a little bit longer, having eased into it with mentoring. There's a question from Garmua of Cameroon. Can CILT engage in more corporate partnerships to create existing platforms to train members? So I suppose that's it's valuable as a general question. Are there other organizations we should partner with in order to provide a better or a wider or a deeper, etc., education and qualification offer? Or are we best just ploughing our own furrow? Maybe we already have some partnerships. I guess I'm turning to Ruth and Michael on this one.
Ruth, do you make a start this time? I can follow.
So I was interpreting the question slightly differently, which I wondered if it was more around internships as part of the educational experience and maybe placement time.
That's also a very good point.
So I'm going to interpret it as that because I do have an answer to that one. One, we do have quite a lot of that actually incredibly successfully set up across India because I think the way that the education system works professionally there, it's just sort of part and parcel, whereas here industrial placements, particularly in the UK, is more of an opt-in rather than an expected. But what I would say is that actually looking at the impact that those placements have and those industry links have on the quality of learning, but I think actually just preparing people for what the industry truly looks like, I think is really valuable. And I was lucky enough to see that a couple of weeks ago when I actually went to visit some of our training providers in India. So we don't have it worldwide. It's not something we centrally push or can facilitate at this point in time, but I certainly think it's something worth exploring. And I do think there's only so much we can do as an institute until we need the industry to recognize what we're doing, join us in what we're doing and work with us, I think, to recognize that. So there's definitely some more food for thought there. Michael, you may well have interpreted the question differently, and I've just
I'll build on what you said, Ruth, and I think let's be clear from the outset that there are different models in different education systems, different frameworks, different approaches. For example, in the UK and many parts of the world, they do like this training on the job. We call it apprenticeship, we call it internship, we call it placement, we call it industrial projects, whatever you call it. And I'm a very big fan of that because in logistics and supply chain, that's what it's all about. And logistics has to be taught and cover applied practical on the job skills. It's not theoretical, we know that. So I'm a big supporter of that. Once again, and I think the big pitch I'm making today is that branches, territories, providers, whatever we can name them today, talk to us, suggest to us what is best that works in your environment, because we cannot only be the ones who generate the ideas, but we would like to listen from you as well, your ideas to make us better and improve the profession. So absolutely, corporate partnerships to go back to our skills, working all together, industry related, it's a no-brainer.
Thank you very much, Michael and Ruth. Anybody else like to come in on that one? Great, all covered. Thank you very much. Next, I'll move on to a question which maybe I should have grouped with the Kenya and Somalia question, but I'll put it under education instead. Syed Makdumali from Pakistan says, I need the responsibility, which I would take, I think that means I need the authority from CILT for my region, so that's Pakistan, to promote CILT programs for professionals and students. Please advise the criteria. So actually, no, we're talking about how to read questions, and I've checked Mr. Ali's not on the call for me to ask. But I guess the question is again, how do you set up a branch, or do you need to set up a branch? Is there some other way of running training CILT accredited programs in your country?
There is a branch in Pakistan, actually. I was going to say Lieutenant Colonel Kaukab is the honorary secretary of CILT Pakistan. I know that we unfortunately had a very sad death for the previous president. So it may be that the person who asked that question is perhaps because the branch went a little bit quiet following Captain Mahmoudi's passing. But it is still there, and Lieutenant Colonel Kaukab is working hard to re-engage. So I would encourage them to approach the local branch.
Excellent. Approach the local branch. We have the email addresses for the attendees, so we can advise about that. Thank you, Ruth.
Actually, could I just jump in there as well, Jenny? Not particularly just for Pakistan, but we do have countries where we have training providers and no branches, and branches where there are no training providers. So similarly, how I was saying, please reach out if you're interested in setting up a branch. We are also very happy to have inquiries from people who would like to be a training provider. And quite often that has been the first step in some countries. So equally, if you know somebody who is a training provider already and would be interested in offering our qualifications, please point them in our direction.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to a philosophical question almost, where we can probably all contribute, which is from Edmund Martins from Canada. And the question is, what are considered the most desirable skill sets for logistics and transportation managers and leaders for the next 5 to 10 years? So that's a chance for all of us to opine on the future. What do we think the future is, and what are the skill sets that people should be acquiring now? Who'd like to go first?
Let me get my 5 pennyworth in there.
Go for it.
I think it's going to be things like data analytics, identifying patterns, looking to see how things are changing and responding. Logisticians and transport professionals are incredibly good at coming up with solutions and being ahead of the curve. So I think this critical thinking and the data analytics is going to be absolutely crucial looking forwards, and also getting to grips with the new technologies. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen a new AI engine come out. In 5 to 10 years, I can imagine in 5 to 10 years, none of us will be on this screen. You'll be talking to our AI avatars. So I think it's the adaptation, the learning new skills. But also don't forget the engineering skills, particularly as infrastructure gets developed and equipment gets developed. Don't forget we're always going to need engineers that can support it. No matter what it is, it's going to need a set of people who are trained to look after it. So looking forwards, lots of change, but as an engineer, don't forget your engineers.
Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else like to have a go at predicting the future in terms of skills required?
I would only chip in with something that we were very lucky. We visited with a transport fleet management company when we were in Southern Africa last year. And one of the key things that came out of that was that people are a little too siloed in terms of their specialisms when they're starting up the ladder. And one of the key things that came out of that was that people who have business knowledge alongside their technical specialisms are often what is needed and is lacking at the moment. Sharon, I don't know if you remember that conversation that we had. People who are comfortable with finance or the legalities and understanding how everything fits together so that the business can grow and they know how to support that growth. And a small plug, I suppose, for our qualifications is that we do offer that business theory, that business application, but we are looking to improve that as well. And I think the word entrepreneurialism has come up today, disruptive innovators as well. You know, I think there's a few things that the industry could need, but that business thinking as a whole certainly came out of some conversations that we had with industry.
Thank you, Ruth. I think I would add personally, not specifically to our industry, but very important to us, and it's important everywhere else next 5 to 10 years, is the ability to think and act in an agile way and a flexible way, because things are changing. And if we stick to our sector, tariffs on, tariffs off, goods allowed to be transported, goods not allowed to be transported, severe weather events, you know, railway that was there, and then the next day the railway's not there. We had a situation here in the UK with one of our most important ports, Holyhead, which is for the traffic between ourselves and the Republic of Ireland. It was out of action for several weeks because of storm damage. It processes a lot of goods and it just wasn't available. So I'm a generalist myself, so I suppose I would say this, but I would put in, you know, try and obtain and maintain your more generalist skills in addition to your specific logistician skills. That would be my advice. I think, well, both Paul and Michael would like to come in.
Yeah. Paul, do you want to go first? Or do you
sure. Yeah,
okay.
No, sure. I think building on each of those, the message I gave my own kids, and they're all grown up now, was you're going to have to continually learn new things as you go through your life. So try and get comfortable with change and see part of your daily life as learning about new things. You may need to drop skills that you've got. You may need to drop relationships you've got, but that lifelong learning, lifelong training, if I connect it with Jenny's agility, the ability to adapt, those are all, for me, facets and the things that we're going to keep having to do as human beings, while machines take an increasing load of certain parts of either supply chains or even just daily life, which I guess for me is one of the reasons why it's useful to be a member of something like CILT, which is aimed at that lifelong education and training and developing your skills and your networks as you go through life, as we do and as we each individually do in their respective countries. Michael, back to you.
Thanks. We can discuss about our factions or specialisms, logistics, supply chain, a lot of the technical skills. And this is true. But from my perspective, to be successful today, you need to have what we call it soft skills. The ability to connect with your team, to motivate, to empower them, to delegate, to make things happen for you. I don't think we're doing a great job in many universities I work with, or many even colleges, think about the soft skills. But for me, unless you are able to connect, to motivate, to empower, and so on, and to be a team player yourself, start with, to lead by example. And I don't discuss about the leadership skills because that's a very more senior level to consider. But there are many issues around soft skills for me, which are critical, apart from the purely technical skills we tend to discuss in logistics and supply chains and transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Paul. Yeah. So I'll move on to the question at the other end of the spectrum, I think, which is, it comes from Benjamin Beffe, who's a UK member. And the question is, what strategies are in place to support retired chartered members to maintain their membership up to date? I think that probably means not up to date, up to date. As very much a retired person myself and a UK member, I think I'll start and say that As a UK member, there is absolutely no end to how I can stay active. They email me daily suggesting that I should do things and sit on boards and join forums and whatever. So yeah, no problem at all keeping up to date. And of course, there's all the events as well to join in to keep your knowledge up to date and to meet new people. I suppose I open it up to the panel saying, to your knowledge, do other branches replicate that, or do they, can branches learn from one another on this? How do we keep because the knowledge of the retired people is very important. We don't want to lose it. So how do we keep them engaged?
I mean, I was going to a few things. I suggest volunteer, come along to your branch and say you'd like to get involved without wishing to take advantage of our retired members. If you've got a little bit of time, it's a great way to stay active, keep your brain going, but also look at what's going on online, look at the news, join webinars. I believe some branches do actually have program for retired members, but there's nothing to stop you going along to any of the events your local branch is holding, and some of them are really interesting visits. So I think there's nothing to stop you still getting involved, and you've probably even got more time because you don't have to sit behind a computer from 9 till 5, allegedly.
Yeah, Jenny, in Ghana, the retired members of Ghana, they've set up a group called the Fellows Guild. They have a class if they call the head as a class.
Chief, your audio's gone really bad. Can I ask you to turn your camera off and see?
Consultancy and serving on board, and they do check it. Right. Can you hear me loud and clear now?
Now you're good. Yeah,
Jenny.
you're good.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. In Ghana, I know which I'm a member of, it's called the Fellows Guild. We do have a class prefect that has a Fellows Guild, and we are used for consultancies and other projects. We play advisory role with the government and other stakeholders. We do have a regular breakfast meeting, so we are being used effectively in Ghana. So I encourage other branches to see how effectively they can use their retirees and old members, because they have the knowledge, and we can even set them up to be as well among their responsibilities to be the mentors of the youth or whoever want to be mentored. So in Ghana, yes, it works just like in UK. So I encourage other branches to do same.
That's a really neat idea, a forum for the retired members. And as you say, often they have that, or I should say, we have that bit more time to give as well. It's not just the knowledge and the experience, and the contact network, it's also the time. So yeah, very good. Everybody else on the panel is far too young to know anything about being retired. But I will extend this answer. We had a couple of slightly related questions. Usman Mora from Ghana was asking, how does one stay updated with the latest developments and innovations in logistics and supply chain? And I think, yes, we've answered that. Engage. If you engage in your CILT branch, then that will happen for you without you really needing to make any further or extra effort. And the second one is from Dina Koka from Malawi, saying, I am currently seeking opportunities to engage in voluntary work, particularly in CILT. Now, my memory of Malawi is that, again, it's an active branch, and I would have thought that all Dina Koka needs to do is to make it known to the branch that they would like to volunteer and to do work for the branch, and they would welcome them with open arms, I would have thought. So we've done those. Thank you very much. Last one on education is from Kaukab Mugai from Pakistan, where hopefully the branch is recovering from its recent setbacks, as Ruth was telling us just now. And it's about are accreditations awarded directly by International without consulting with the local CILT branch? Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question myself, but Ruth probably understands and can answer it.
So yeah, in terms of, I mean, it's possibly a smidge boring, but in the way that we operate, obviously we hold the central IP, and then we enter licensing agreements, MOUs, memorandums of understanding, with a variety of different training providers who we obviously go through a lot of due diligence to make sure that they are, one, aligned with our values, two, they are well-established, high-quality training institutions, and that the students are going to get an excellent experience. So whilst we do hold those MOUs directly with the training providers, we do work in conjunction with the branch. So we do ask the branch, usually, in fairness, the expressions of interest from training providers come through to us from the branch because the training provider has approached them. The branch has already done a level of due diligence and they'll say, we're quite happy. We want to green light this. Can you please do some additional due diligence on your side? So usually we work together as three parties. I mean, I can't speak to everything that's ever happened over the course of many, many years, but the only time I would imagine that a branch has not been consulted is, as Sharon said, sometimes we don't have branches in those countries, and perhaps the branch was being launched at the same time that a training provider came in, and perhaps a little bit of miscommunication there. But absolutely, it's a tripartite working relationship, and that's the only way to get the most out of it.
Thank you, Ruth. So you've set out the model very clearly, and I've learned something, and so I hope the audience has learned something as well. That's how it works. So thank you very much for that. I'll move on. I have two Nigeria-specific questions. So we do have our great West African CLT expert here, which is Chief. So I'm hoping he'll be able to help us out on this. Jacinta Uke would like to know how to improve transport and logistics at the local government level in Nigeria. And she mentions sponsorship programs, which obviously I do not know how they work in Nigeria, so I'm not sure I understand that. And we have Suleiman Imudu, who's interested in having a membership drive for CLT Nigeria, and also to see CLT making a better contribution to the Nigerian economy. I guess better means that the members of CLT Nigeria should make a greater contribution to the Nigerian economy. He's not expecting the branch to do it. Your thoughts, Chief, please?
Yes, CLT Nigeria, it's the only territory on the continent of Africa. And they have what it takes. They have the manpower, the capacity to respond to the one who sent a question, because I know very well, and it would interest you to know that the IVP for Africa resides in Nigeria, and their president, the CLT Nigeria president, is a barrister. So I suggest the one who sent a question, take it offline and deal directly with the branch. It is difficult for us international to get involved in the branch activities when it comes to policies and politics as well. So I suggest we don't have that discussion here, but rather reroute the question to the branch who have what it takes to respond to such a question than us international responding to it.
Great, thank you, Chief. So that's some constructive advice for Jacinta Uke and Suleiman Imudu. So thank you very much for that. Still with the branch specific, we've got Dimitrios Paraskevadakis. Sorry, Michael, that was probably another butchery. Who's also a UK member, and he's asking, how can CLT International and CLT UK collaborate to create synergies? Now, I'll start off by saying that Chief attended one of the key CLT UK functions last year, which was their awards ceremony and dinner, which they had at Windsor. Myself and the president-elect, Jan Steenberg, we went to their annual lunch in Birmingham as their guests, and we had two senior people from CLT UK come to our Christmas get-together, which was in London in December. So we are definitely, we obviously have always worked with one another. It'd be strange if we hadn't, but we're forging closer ties, and certainly myself as a UK branch member, I feel that international can offer the individual UK CLT people so much in terms of the amazing international intelligence and the amazing international network, that if I were CLT UK, which I'm not, my day job is with international, I would be really pushing for more synergy and doing more things together. And it seems to me that we have started a process of coming more closely to one another and doing more things together. So we've made a start. But other panelists, comments on that? How can we being international, work more closely with the UK?
I think for me, it's not about working closely with UK, it's about working closely with all our branches and territories, which we are doing. So I would want to single out UK's territories as equal as any other country. So I normally would want to single out a country because I can equally ask a question that is, why won't CILT International work with CILT South Africa? And I'm looking on my screen, I see 3 UK IVPs here. So that means that we are working closely, which I would have expected to see more other countries represented, but that is our bylaws. So I think, Jenny, we are working close with every country, and the countries that we are not working close with, we are doing the best we can, humanly possible, and by our roles and responsibilities, by our bylaws, doing the best that we can. So we are collaborating, we are synergizing, and we're doing the best we can as an international organization. That's my response to that.
Thank you very much, Chief. Other people wish to make comments?
I mean, I would just say, as I am also a member of CILT UK, just get involved in our events. UK does an amazing programme. There are also an amazing programme around the world. You can join any event online that any CILT branch is offering. So please just get involved. And I see it really mentions the regional branches. We have regional branches in other countries as well. And we welcome everybody equally. So we look forward to seeing you online at our various events.
Thank you, Sharon.
If I can chip in here,
Yeah,
Jenny,
go, Michael.
as well, being from CILT UK myself as well since 1998, is the fact that there are many synergies, there are many opportunities, there are many things going on. I mean, Sharon and Ruth will know really well, we are going to have an LRN, the Logistics Research Network Committee, which is CILT UK forum, working with us in Oman in the next few months. We're exploring opportunities to work together around the education issue. It's great for me because I know CILT UK inside out, I can connect with them, and I think CILT International is very keen to connect with CILT UK, and I hope you remember I used today the word CILT family. So we're all for that together, and CILT UK is part of the family, and the wider family, so we're all for this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we definitely are a family, stronger together, as Chief always reminds us. That's definitely true. So, audience, I need to remind you that we're getting towards the end of our webinar now. If you have any more questions, maybe things have come up in the conversation that you're thinking, oh, I'd like to hear more about this, or I'd like to pass a comment on that, then the Q&A is still open. Slot your questions in, and I will almost certainly have time to take them up. And if anybody did put any questions in the chat, then please remember that I'm not looking there. So please transfer your questions into the Q&A where I am looking. But at the same time, do carry on using the chat to say hello to one another and yeah, to network. As I say, I'm all about the networking. Use the chat to network. That's what it's there for. So I think I'll do the last remaining question in the Q&A first, because then I've got a couple of more wide-ranging ones. So, okay, I'll apologise in advance for this one. Lethlo Hononole Mepshe, who had to guess is from South Africa, I would guess, though I can't tell in here. We took a question earlier and talked about networking and supporting small businesses and entrepreneurships. So there's a follow-up here, which is, oh yeah, sorry, it does say from South Africa. Oh, at least I can pride myself in guessing correctly. Do we have any specific programs for entrepreneurs, or is it about individuals networking only? I mean, my own initial answer to that would be, again, if I were on the leadership of a branch, which I'm not, then I would be very interested in running programs to support entrepreneurs. But I don't know what's actually going on out there, so I'll turn to my panel and ask, and are we aware of specific things for entrepreneurs? Would we advocate specific things to support entrepreneurs?
I think getting back, it's all about networking, and we're definitely seeing, we were talking about how the industry is developing earlier, and a lot of entrepreneurs are starting up in the logistics, supply chain and transportation fields, particularly based around big data. So I would say the networking programs are there. There's a lot of emphasis on innovation. The Africa Forum in Rwanda in April is looking at how sustainability and green issues. And I say that is really very much a field where we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurship action. So they may not be called come and meet an entrepreneur type evenings, but I think networking is a great chance to get involved. And discussions and policy groups and forums looking at specific issues are great places to develop new ideas, meet new people and put your thoughts forward. So as Ruth was saying before, when we were in Southern Africa last year, entrepreneurship was really a thing people wanted to learn more about. So I think, yes, and if you're a branch, it's a great way to have a really vibrant evening talking about the art of the possible. So yes, please.
Thank you, Sharon. Other thoughts on how CILT International can support entrepreneurs? Well, Sharon said it all. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've got a couple of nice ones to finish with here. We've got Moira Mapesa, also from South Africa, asking us to share our value proposition in the context of how would we sell ourselves to new members, because in this case, South Africa would like to ensure that they are aligned when they target new members. So I'm not going to kick this off because I'll probably steal someone's points. I'll go last. What is our value proposition? What should we be saying, or what should South Africa be saying to potential new members?
I don't want to be the one that always answers all of the questions, but I think the value proposition to new members at whatever stage of their career is really you're joining a very supportive family network. We're here to be with you through your entire working life, and we will develop with you. So it's really to have somebody alongside you, a professional home, that whatever point of your career you're at, you'll meet like-minded individuals, and you'll meet people who are going through the same journey as you. And it just is that support network that you know you've got somebody you can talk to who's going to understand what you're talking about. So really, we are here to be with you all the way along your career journey. And as Chief was saying, and the question before, and even when you're retired, your community is still here, your family's still here to keep you interested. So yeah, on the road with you, or the canal.
Or the channel. Thank you, Sharon. Now, surely, Ruth and Michael, you must be wanting to pitch for education being the most important thing. I'm relying on you here.
I wasn't going to pitch for education being the most. I mean, obviously, the education it's huge, but for me, having previously been a teacher, I know the conversations that children have with parents and what they view as the range of options of careers when they leave school, or indeed those conversations they have with teachers in school and careers advisors. And I think the work that we do as an institute and what we do as a collective, we've still got more to do. I know we've been around for over 100 years, but there is more to do. And I think we are stronger together and we have a bigger voice together. The bigger and the stronger we are in terms of number, all saying the same thing, that we actually have specialized skills and knowledge. We are a fully fledged career. We are not able to just pick up our trade via casual learning. This is a legitimate body of knowledge that must be professionalized. The more of us that are together saying that, then the faster we can grow things in terms of changing the sector and fulfilling the skills needs in the sector. So having that collective for me is really important. So it's not necessarily a kind of what we can give you right now, but what are you contributing towards for your own sense of sort of ethical responsibility for the profession that you know and love.
Thank you, Ruth. Michael?
Yeah, I think the value proposition here for me is quite, let's say, straightforward, because I said a few times, I'll say that again, this is by far the best association institution in the world in the area of logistics and transport. It's a dynamic institution. We do things continuously together as a team. We improve continuously. We aim to make it much, much better. And it's a very professional body as well, not only because we try to be professional, because we are professional and we are passionate about what we do, about logistics and transport. I think this came up very, very strongly in the discussion today. So if you're very keen to join the logistics, transport, distribution in general, and be part of that profession and field altogether, welcome. You're welcome with open arms, and feel free to connect with all of us anytime after this event, and we'll support you as needed.
Great, thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Sorry, I was just dealing with a question in writing then. That's great. Thank you. And something Ruth said actually takes us nicely into what looks like it's going to be our last question, which is from Belief Bibi Fire, who's from Nigeria. And it's how has CILT shaped and changed the world of supply chain, transportation and logistics? So that's really ending on a positive note, and it's tied in with our value proposition that we are the leading international organization for what we do. And we, not just saying that, we know it because one of my fellow trustees or COP members, and of course, being old, I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, they used some AI within the last week to trawl the internet and find out what was the most trusted source of information about logistics, transportation, and supply chain. Chief is nodding. Maybe he's younger than me. He can probably even remember who he was, which I can't. Anyway, we were on top. So it's not just us saying that, we are on top. So we are I'd say that in answer to Belief Bib Fire's question, we are shaping and changing the world of supply chain by our position as thought leaders and respected representatives. But obviously, as well as me saying that, and this unknown COP member saying it based on AI, I'm sure I can rely on my panel members. Don't you agree that answering this question is a really good way of having your last words in the webinar? Talking about how influential and important we are. Sharon.
I would just say the sheer number of people that we've touched, either in our daily jobs or through training, and the people that they've been engaged with. It's something like 13% of the world population works in our profession. And if we've even touched 0.1% of those people and made an improvement to their lives in the industry, I think we're doing a damn good job. So I would just say, I think we are here to make sure people have the skills they need. We've worked with governments, we've standardized, but just all the people we've touched in our daily lives, and also everybody that's had a delivery on time or had the thing they wanted in the shop because CILT member has been involved with it. I think we just really are stronger together and reaching out into all the corners of the world.
Thank you, Sharon. Who wants to go next? No, all the panelists are they feel everything's been covered. So I'm having one final look. There is no more Q&A in the Q&A, or no more Q in the Q&A, I should say. So thank you very much for the questions online and the questions just now, all really, really interesting topics for discussion. And I will now hand over to Chief to make the customary closing remarks. Chief, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jenny, for giving the opportunity to have the last word. I'd like to thank my COP members for their enormous support with their different skill sets. I don't know it all, but I'm lucky and blessed to have all these CILT members supporting me as a global president, and I'm always grateful for them to correct me when I go wrong. I'm grateful for their encouragement, their support, and buy into my initiatives, buy into my objectives, buy into my strategies. And one of the strategy was to have this time with the Council of Trustees, something that it wasn't there. But just for the fact that this group of trustees wanted all of us to be parents, to be out there, to be an open book that you can ask us any question from A to Z, not restricting you. Just ask us, talk to us. It shows a level of commitment or a level of assurance that we're giving all the global membership that we are there to support you, we are there to serve you, and we are there as volunteers. And what we're doing is a sacrificial job to make sure that we change the narrative. That said, I also like to thank my secretariat, headed by Sharon, Zoe, Ruth, Roxana, Kaya, Frankie. Who else have I left?
Ali.
Ali, correct. These are guys that, ladies and gentlemen, they do the job. They get us active, relevant, and they make us visible. Secretary, thank you so very much for buying into my concept. Sorry if I put so much pressure on you. Yes, I'm aware of what I'm doing because we need to make a difference. Thank you very much for Team Secretariat for your support. Then to a global community, thanks for buying into me. Thanks for accepting my nomination as the first African to be the global president after 100 years, most especially to Team Ghana. This is a story that needs to be told. I'm so thankful, so grateful that I have you all as my support system. Without you, I'm no one. Thank you so very much. You all know where to find me. Let's use the social media tool as a weapon to conquer the world. We are very active on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. In the next few days, we are going to launch our website. Our e-magazine is going to be launched pretty soon. Please, let's fill all out with a lot of materials. I mean, there's a saying that goes like, if your room is dark and you lit a candle, you put it under your bed, there's absolutely no way your room will shine. We need to be out there. We need to fly the flag of CILT. And now we're trying to call ourselves supply chain, logistics, and transportation. We are the drivers, we are the shakers, we are the movers. Until such a time that we believe in ourselves and preach the gospel of supply chain, logistics, and transportation, no one else will believe in us. I believe in you all, and I know we'll make it. Let's use our social media platform to spread the gospel of what we believe in. Finally, I'd like to invite you all to the African Forum in Rwanda, 28th to 30th of April in Kigali. It is a time for us to network, opportunity for us to get to know each other, and to do whatever we believe in doing. Then finally, our convention, it's also in September, Sri Lanka, and that is from 15th to 17th of September. I take this opportunity to invite you all, and that is where you meet most of us, and let's have the interaction, and let's keep the discussion going. This is on the end of it. This is just the beginning of it. And thank you all for supporting my second year in my presidency. I love you all. We are stronger together. Thank you, Jenny. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chief. I've got absolutely nothing to add to those beautiful words by Chief. So all I'll do is what I need to do, which is to thank our excellent panelists, the real Sharon, Paul, Ruth, Michael, and Chief, and also Kaya, who's had to go, but who not only was here, but she really is the power behind the scenes here. She makes these webinars happen. Technically, they can be challenging, but Kaya always overcomes those challenges. There is a recording of the webinar, which Kaya will sort out, and it will be available on our website at some point soon, hopefully. And because she's very good with the newsletters, she will know about it when that happens. There will be another one of these in 3 or 4 months' time. We do like our Meet the Council of Trustees webinars. It's great to have the direct contact with you all. But I didn't notice. Thank you for the questions that everyone submitted in advance and the few we had here in the webinar. Technically, of course, it's much easier for me when I have the questions in advance like I did, but actually I missed the interaction we had in the first one where people were asking the questions live and I was unmuting you and you were able to be seen and ask the questions yourselves. So even though that's harder for me, I think I might go back to that next time. It's a bit more lively, it's a bit more fun, even though it's more demanding. So thank you for being an excellent audience. As Chief says, we're always available. You don't have to wait 4 months to ask us things or tell us things. Wherever you are in the world, whether it's now your nighttime or your morning or your evening or your afternoon, whatever it is, I hope you have a nice one and I hope to see you at the next one. Thank you. Bye.